I want to just review because it's very important that we have the sequence and the schedule on Pesach morning clear, and I'm starting to get the impression that maybe it could use a refresher, even though we discussed it already once before, but I want to get it clear, and hopefully with a little bit of explanation we'll understand what the times are based on, and we'll be able to operate a little bit more comfortably on Shabbat morning and Friday night. Once again, because this year Erev Pesach falls on Shabbat, a person is allowed to have chametz the entire Friday night. It's only prohibited to have chametz on Erev Pesach once we have completed the 4th hour of the day. Magen Avraham, it's about 10:30 in New York. According to Graz, a little bit later, about 10:50. You'll check the local calendars of the shul. Okay, so technically speaking, this year you could have chametz all Friday night, regular challah, pita, whatever you want to do. You could even do that Shabbat morning. But just to be clear, on Shabbat morning you could only have chametz up until 10:30. So even if you're going to be praying nets, you have to make sure that you're home in enough time to have the chametz, have the hamotzi and the challah, but you're finished and it's put away. All chametz, including any soiled dishes that you want to use, have to be completely finished and put away by 10:30. It's not just the whole morning, up until the end of the 4th hour. It's about, like I say, 10:30, 10:50, depending on the zmanim of your shul. Up until that point, all chametz is fine. Now, we said that there's a practical consideration. Not everybody wants to have chametz in their house when the entire house has been cleaned top to bottom for Pesach. So what are the options if you don't want to be using challah, if you don't want to be using chametz on this Shabbat? So Friday night, a person can use regular matzah. But that means regular matzah. You could use matzah that would even be eligible for use at the seder. The reason is because there's a prohibition starting on the Erev Pesach, the day right before Pesach. There's a prohibition in the daytime, according to most achronim, of eating seder matzah. But the night before Erev Pesach, which is Friday night, you're allowed to have regular matzah. So that works Friday night if you want to use regular matzah. So what about Shabbat morning? We said, regular matzah. I'm talking about for Ashkenazim. Sorry, for Ashkenazim. Good point. For Ashkenazim, they could use regular matzah. Shabbat morning. According to everybody, you cannot have regular matzah. According to Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, there's a prohibition of eating regular seder grade matzah according to everybody. Shabbat morning. So again, your options are back to bread, but if you want to be doing that, so according to the Rav Moshe Feinstein we mentioned, you could use matzah ashira, which is matzah, the dough is kneaded with something other than water, or in addition to water, whether it's fruit juice, whether it's eggs, other types of liquid. That's called matzah ashira. The reason why you could have that Shabbat morning is because you're not able to fulfill your mitzvah with that type of matzah at the seder. So it's not included in the prohibition of Erev Pesach matzah. So according to Moshe Feinstein, for Ashkenazim, they are allowed to be koveh su'udah on the matzah ashira. As Gabriel just pointed out, that will not work for us because we would be still making, as we do for the rest of the year, we make a bracha of borei minei mitzvot on such matzah. So no egg matzah, no perot matzah for us Shabbat morning. So what are our options? Back to bread, or this is actually brought down in the Chayei Adam. Mishnah Berurah quotes in the Sha'ar HaTziyun. The Chayei Adam quotes, and Chacham Ovadia recommends this approach, taking your regular seder matzah, normal water and flour matzah, and cooking it in advance. Cooking that matzah before Pesach. In that way, you invalidate it from being used at the seder, and therefore it's not prohibited Erev Pesach. So if you could, and you can still make the bracha of hamotzi. It still has the appearance of bread of that matzah, the original matzah, and therefore you're allowed to make hamotzi on that. So, person wants to use chametz, make sure you're finished by about 10:30, 10:50, depending on the zmanim of your shul. If you want to use cooked matzah, you could do that as well.
On Saturday day we have to be finished by 10:30.
The all chametz has to be finished by.
If you're eating matzah.
If you're eating regular matzah, you have long. We're about to get that. If you're using the cooked matzah, regular matzah, which is cooked, then you have until the end of the beginning of the 10th hour. Okay, the 10th hour. I'm sorry, I didn't look it up. What that actually translates to into normal time. But you're allowed to eat this cooked matzah, or for that purpose, if you want to just snack on egg matzah also, you could do so up until the 10th hour. The reason why we prevent ourselves from eating matzah at that point and on is because in general there's a restriction on being full when we go into the seder. We mentioned from the name of the Arizal that matzat mitzvah is like medicine for the neshama. It's refu'ah for the soul. Every crumb, every bite that you take, according to the Arizal, of matzat mitzvah, you are bringing refu'at hanefesh. and therefore it's saturated with mitzvah. We want to eat that mitzvah matzah with enthusiasm. And therefore, Maran brings down, Siman Taf Ayin Aleph, that from the 10th hour and on, don't snack. You want to have a little bit of fruits, want a little bit of vegetables, something light just to hold you over, fine. But even if it's not Borei Menim Meznot, you should not be full going into the Seder. Why? That when we get to that Matzat Mitzvah, you want to eat it with the full enthusiasm, because it's such a powerful, powerful thing. So again, you can have the cooked Matzah up until the 10th hour. You can make Hamotzi on that Matzah. Past the 10th hour, you should not be eating Matzah Ashira. You should not be eating regular matzah. It's prohibited to eat the regular matzah past the 10th hour of the day. So for Seudah Shlishit, we'll conclude with this before we move on to tomorrow's Halachot, Bezrat Hashem of Haggalah. When it comes to Seudah Shlishit, which is only after Chatzot Hayom anyway, after the Zman Mincha, what are a person's options? So for Sfaradim, the options are that a person could have the regular matzah, which has been cooked for Seudah Shlishit, up until the 10th hour. Once you hit the 10th hour, you should not be eating any sort of mizonot, and even any sort of perot, yarakot, any vegetables or fruits should be kept to a minimum. Okay, so Seudah Rishonah we covered. You could even use chametz. On the night before Pesach, Friday night, you could even use regular matzah uncooked. Shabbat morning, you could use chametz up until the 4th hour. But past the 4th hour, all chametz, all dishes, everything has to be put away. About 10:30, 10:50.
But how we can do this? This is Shabbat. How are we going to do this?
Disposable. Everything disposable. Everything disposable. You throw away.
It's preferable to bring the Pesach already on a Friday, so it's not going to be
100%. Right. But that's if you want to use chametz, which is definitely the ideal. You want to use regular challah. Everything should be disposable. Disposable dishes, disposable tablecloth. The 4th hour of the day is complete. You take everything, you just throw it out outside, put it into the garbage. There are other halachot about Erev Pesach how we're going to dispose of the garbage. Get rid of all the crumbs. You're now chametz free. That's the other option. Seudah Shlishit for Sfaradim. The Seudah Shlishit for Sfaradim, you can use the cooked matzah up until the 10th hour. On that you make hamotzi. If it's going to be egg matzah, you can make borei minim mezonot, which is the second tier Seudah Shlishit. You can make a borei minim mezonot on the egg matzah, also only up until the 10th hour. And Bezrat Hashem, as we get close, I'll look up what the 10th hour actually means. Past the 10th hour, all eating really should be kept to a minimum. So we go into this Seder, Achilat Matzah, with an appetite. 4:30 this year, with the change in the clocks. Bezrat Hashem.